end up doing, and how we're guiding is, what's really important is having a real specific call to action at the end. You got to have something that's tangible. And we're using security type of workshops, right, where there's a cost to it between $1,500 and $2,000. We want to make sure that the people who are working with you aren't getting stuff for free. They put some skin in the game. That's what's really important. You got to put some skin in the game. When they put the skin in the game, then you really have a good opportunity. So this is what we're trying to help our partners is stop doing ththings for free. Let's put a workshop, have something that's there for them, have a plan at the end, right? And then they go into professional services. So we do a myriad of different type of scenarios with that. But I just wanted to share that because, gosh, this week, just the attendee or the registration to attendee has been crazy. That tells us what's hot is security. What's hot is Sentinel. It's Sentinel. Even if you don't have the chops, we can help you get in touch with. So if you want to talk to us about it, just give us a call. We're happy to talk to anybody here. We usually do a 30-minute discovery call. It's very simple. We're no pressure, and you can even ask Chad. We're the least pressure people. It's like, if you want to do something and increase sales, great. I got the tool for you. The last thing is, customer persona is so big. Right. So a year ago, we were doing a lot of these sessions where we had the partners driving the attendees, but we weren't getting the right people. And that's where targeting is so important. We look for people that are 5 to 50 million. We're looking for people that have downloaded security white papers, okay? Because now they're interested. They want people that have security, downloaded Microsoft security, right? Those are the people we target, and then that's the right persona. Right persona is half the battle when you come to these things. All right, that's enough. Enough about us, because I want to get into this. We never use this really as a commercial, but I just want to share it because I'm just so excited about this week. It's like, holy smokes, we actually got something really awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to put up our next slide. It's really the discovery phase of this. So, Chad and Nikhil, would you mind just introducing yourself just real quickly and your company, and then we'll kind of get into our first set of questions.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll keep it pretty short and brief. So my name is Chad Oda. I'm the head of consulting at Chat Mode, and I know Sherman has some questions. We'll dig a little bit more into our value prop. So I'll keep it at that. Nikhil, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, I'm Nikhil Vimal. I'm the head of operations over at Chat Mode. So excited to talk shop today.
All right. Now this is a conversation, so we want you to please feel welcome to ask questions in here. So the first thing that we usually want to do is we kind of want to get to know these guys, right? So every superhero has an origin story. What is yours? How did you break into it? Maybe how did you guys get together?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's always a great question. I think over the course of any business you're developing or trying to identify product market fit, service market fit, there's always an evolution, right? Where Nikhil and I both started was actually back in 2017 as we sort of got into the space of conversational AI, chatbots, voice-enabled smart speakers like Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant. And at the time, we were doing consulting in this space. And it just so happened, I saw Nikhil was interested in the space and doing some consulting. And I was speaking at a conference in San Francisco, and I ended up reaching out to him cold and said, hey, it looks like there might be some opportunities to collaborate. You're in San Francisco. The conference is there. I'm speaking there. Why don't you come down and let's meet? And just over the course of that initial contact, Nikhil and I just had really great synergy as far as where we saw the industry going. And, ever since that point, we had done quite a bit of consulting around conversational AI for Fortune 500 organizations. And, as that sort of opportunity evolved, post 2018, moving into 2020 and, eventually into 2021, what we realized at a certain junction was the market was consolidating. A lot of focus was on the consumer facing side. We wanted to go line of business. And when we looked around the ecosystem, we said, where is the chat solution that all the companies are going to be using in the next 5 to 10 years? And for us, that was Microsoft Teams. So we made the decision in 2020 to become a fully bred Microsoft partner. That's our focus area. That's where we saw the majority of the upside. And from that sort of point on in 2020 to where we're at today in 2021, we've just expanded our service offering beyond just chatbots. Our most popular service offering to date is really leveraging the Power Platform. Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents, Power Apps. We've just seen a tremendous amount of growth as we work with Fortune 500, Fortune 5 clients, and it's been a really great opportunity here.
That's awesome. Nikhil?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great Microsoft product connected us. LinkedIn, of course, was the way that Chad did the outreach, and it's been that the space that we were originally in really blew up there. So having that opportunity, to meet Chad and go that first conference, I still remember very well because it was just an incredible experience. And even for myself was more, Chad was more of a business guy, I was more of a technical guy, even at that juncture. So it was cool to get all the different perspectives and hear about the way that AI was moving at the time. So it's been an incredible journey, and I'm looking forward to sharing a little bit more about what we do in some more specifics. But yeah.
Awesome. That's neat. And when you find the partners that you mesh well with, it's magical. It's magical. I brought my brother in, and sometimes you think you brought your brother in and they're going to be fighting, right? But Richard and I, we both have very different personalities, but he takes care of all the operations, finance, all that stuff, and it just works. And now it probably wouldn't have worked when we were 15 and like we were wanting to beat each other up, right? But it's magical. Now, one thing that we actually do have right now, there was a question that was posed inside. And I love this question. Actually, it wasn't directed to us, but it was like, hey, how are you guys moving people from Slack to Teams? Now, we have a nice community inside of here. Please answer that. Help that person out. Help them out. So that's awesome. All right, so let's get into another thing. Just learning more about you guys here. What would you say is your biggest achievement, personal and or professional?
I can speak a little bit to that because I think on the professional side, it's been an incredible time with Chat Mode. We've been behind a 1,000-person AI-focused monthly meetup out in the Seattle area. So, that's been an incredible experience. Even virtually, we did a little bit of work with that. Chad and I had the opportunity to keynote and be on panels at incredible AI-focused events, both in conversational AI, open source, line of business AI events. So that's been great, hosting meetups and things like that with other organizations. And, our audience reach, overall has been, we've got over 200,000 global, audience over the years here, talking to specifically getting business professional, IT leaders, executives from Fortune 500, your global list, anywhere you look. We've gotten hit up by amazing people and amazing companies, for some of the content that we've done through our blogs, our insights. We've been featured on major publications, both on the tech and business side as well, each of us. So it's been an incredible journey, and it's obviously shown even the complementary skills that Chad and I have as partners has also showed as well, right? Where we can speak a little bit to each side of artificial intelligence, machine learning, automation, but through different perspectives and different lenses, and getting the opportunity to spotlight that globally. So yeah, that's just a little bit of more insight into that.
I'll actually interject there as well. I mean, I think certainly all the points Nikhil covered, and from a professional standpoint, just commercially speaking, I think from sort of our approaches, I think it's been kind of amazing, and we're very blessed to work with the clients that we do. Had the opportunity to work with several Fortune 500 clients, and we recently had closed a Fortune 5 client back in December of this year, and they've been a great client ever since. A lot of room to grow, and quite a lot of opportunity that we're now working with Microsoft on their field sales reps and their CSMs, which has been a really awesome experience for us here.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really great. So let me ask you this, how would you please describe, what you guys do really, what you specialize in, how you work with partners and customers, because we actually are using you a lot. We're bringing you into a lot of partner type of deals, which is amazing. Like, holy smokes, this is it's just helping in so many different ways. So please, for the group here, let's talk about what you are, who you are and what you do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's always a good question to start with. It's like, what do we do? Why does it matter? For all intents and purposes, we are a bespoke consultancy focused primarily on the Microsoft ecosystem around workflow automation and AI. What that looks like in a nutshell is, first and foremost, we are very, very much focused on customer and employee experience. So that's the first lens we walk customers through along that discovery process to really ensure that we have a high resolution understanding of what the heck we're building for customers, right? Because we can come in there and just deploy technology, but ultimately that's oftentimes does not really have
for this evening, if you don't mind.
I think someone might be on the phone here. Is that Alex?
Yeah, we'll mute. Okay, no problem.
Yeah, no worries. So it's firstly understanding that customer experience, right? employee experience, we do a ton of workshops. Primarily for us, an important part is education, right? A lot of times, some of these organizations have the licenses provisioned, right? Are aware of maybe some of these technologies, but just can't sort of visualize that sort of mental model of how the heck can I leverage it for my organization here? So, on the front end, it's a lot of customer and employee experience workshops and education. And once we identify that, really it's leveraging the power, no pun intended, of the Power Platform here, right? Everything from Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents, and really being able to, get from 0 to 80 or to 80 to 100 very quickly as we work with these organizations, But with that, obviously, there's a lot of change management and governance that's necessary around these sort of low-code platforms that we're also working very closely with these executive stakeholders on. The last component I would mention here is we also have a focus on cognitive services, right? As this is a technology that is looming very much on the horizon for a lot of these organizations looking to, expand or optimize or get some more value out of their existing solutions. That's an area we focus very closely with around conversational AI and also deploying things like computer vision as well for our customer base.
So interestingly enough, one of my good friends, here's a plug to probably one of the best Microsoft partner development managers in the whole country in the US, Joshua Shea. He told me a year and a half ago, it's like, Sherman, you got to look at the Power Platform. You got to look at Power Automate and Power Apps. This is the next big thing. This is a year and a half ago he's touching this. We're starting to get it. People are starting to look at it. And Power Apps, Power Automate, oh my gosh, the projects that are coming out of this are immense, but also create stickiness, which is really, really, really cool. One question that did come up just recently out of this, is Eric Van Bibber just mentioned, hey, do you own your own AI? Did you create your own AI? Or are you using Microsoft Cognitive? And I think you kind of mentioned that, but I just want to call that out real quick.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So it's a little bit of in between, right? So while we do leverage Microsoft Cognitive Services and their suite of applications, we've also begun to develop, just over the course of noticing the development cycles, some of our own middleware, in addition to some proprietary data sets that, certainly helps us to get, some of these things into production a lot quicker. So, it's sort of that hybrid model of Microsoft is really good solutions, really great platforms from an AI standpoint, whether you're using the Cognitive Services suite or whether you're using something a little more abstracted with AI Builder inside of Power Platform, a lot of opportunity to build on top of that and also build your proprietary data sets.
Awesome. All right. Well, the next kind of question in here, is, could you frame how you've recently worked with a partner to push the Power Platform? Because this is partner based, but we're gonna get into the executives, but let's just kind of frame it.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, quite a lot of our business is actually facilitated working with really great partners. And I think the opportunity right now is to identify where there are complementary opportunities. Because, if you're a partner that's focused on deploying, Dynamics field services, for the last, 5-10 years, your customers today, as well as these partners, are looking for ways to extend that value proposition to their customers. So for us, it's been this really nice integration, this really nice segue into working with partners, because they have this solution, they have an install base, or maybe there's net new customers and they're saying, hey, they're coming to us and we want to extend this. Or sometimes our partners are coming to us and saying, hey, we have this idea that our customers shared with us. How do we make this happen, right? So oftentimes, very natural segue. We will come in. One example, actually recently, working with a relatively large organization that was a install-based client of a vendor that we worked with. And, there's really 3 components that we would work with this vendor on behalf of their customer. So number one, it's the customer experience and user experience component that we always start with, really understanding, interviewing stakeholders, and really facilitating these workshops to get a really good understanding of, hey, what are the needs, what's the scope, what are the requirements, right? So I don't think that's necessarily too much of a surprise, probably to any of us on this call here. Secondly, it's understanding, how do we translate those business requirements into, an actual solution, and that is bridging the gap. Now, the last point, that I think is really important, actually, in this case here, is working with those stakeholders at the client organization to understand what is the economic impact of that deal. Going through and identifying what is the current situation, understanding how much time, resources, and money is this current customer sort of sitting in, and how, by leveraging the Power Platform, can we give them a predictable ROI model, right? Not only for their own, not only to be at ease with the project, but also to help them perhaps close the deal with their executive stakeholders that they need to make the case to. And we took this, essentially this process where there was a lot of emails that were hitting a variety of inboxes, and some of these emails weren't getting followed up on for 15 days or longer, and we were able to actually close that gap to under a day. And this particular client, we are leveraging a artificial intelligence solution to essentially facilitate that. As far as ROI, we were essentially able to show them within a span of about 2.5 to 3 months that they would be ROI positive on this deal, right? So for us, it's when we work with partners, really 3 components. Number 1, customer experience mapping. Number 2, how do we bridge the gap between business requirements and actually the technical solution? And number 3, most importantly, I think, is making that economic impact case.
And just to kind of extrapolate on that, so I was part of that. I was part of the, and I was watching. And I remember when they asked how much, right? And, and the thing was sticker shot, okay, $33,000. Let's give you a ballpark, 33,000. And at first, the person was like, whoa, right? But then when Chad was like, hey, well, let's do a forensic audit, kind of like, what is the time that is taken, right, to actually complete this? And I think there was even one scenario, one of the approval processes, where this poor lady actually printed out this and then walked across campus and then walked back. And it was like a 45-minute round trip, and she did it like 6 times a day, right? I mean, she got her steps in, which is cool, I guess. Maybe that's what it is, right? 10,000 steps. But it was the economic impact. You claw back all that time, and then boom. But now just think about what you're able to do with Power Automate. How many people now are smiling, right? And that whole, remember that whole process? There was like arrows going to arrows, and that's really where I think the power is in here. Nikhil, let me ask you this. How about yourself? Maybe give us a customer engagement just to kind of see this.
Sure, absolutely. I'll go into more of the into a major enterprise, Fortune 50 company that we work with on leveraging, Power Automate out of the Power Platform suite specifically. And, in this scenario, it was a recent technology they'd heard about some way or another, organically, it sounds like, just naturally attracted to the talk of automation and the way of, transforming, business organization goals, especially with a lot of employees. And, we were actually brought in, pretty quickly and swiftly because of the education value that we start with, right? So speaking to Chad's process a little bit, that's just essential, right? Especially as a partner and as someone who represents, some of these platforms, you got to come in with that understanding of not only the education about, what it is fundamentally, but also how can it work into the, in this case, a very much employee experience use case, primarily focusing on approval processes that took, it was error prone. It took quite a long time. It was a lot of manual work. It was a lot of very fragmented data sources, no centralized documentation, no centralized documents for that matter, with the information that was needed to, make an approval happen. And, being able to leverage Power Automate and really integrate with all the great tools that they're already using, SharePoint, Excel, Outlook, it was great to see. It was great to see the light bulb turn on too, when all was said and done, on the opportunity to take a very difficult cross-departmental process into something that can be really centralized and can be moved quickly, and that other departments could use to talk to other departments easier. And just seeing that shift across a company with a lot of employees is incredible to see, and also crucial for the future. And we're looking with them now to expand into RPA at scale. Getting data for an artificial intelligence model. You're doing large-scale CRM automation using mixing interesting things together, such as their CRM with Microsoft Teams and things like that. So it really gets, it really continues to get deeper and deeper. And Power Automate was the validating force to even move forward. But and that's the power of the Power Platform, right? And that's the power of seeing some of that basic automation turn into large scale AI and something that definitely drives digital transformation at its core. So yeah, thought I'd mention that one.
That is a great one. That is awesome. All right. Well, let's make a little bit of a transition here from this just getting to know you in the discovery into actually where we're kind of talking about is working with Microsoft executives, right? I think that would be a good idea here. So it's working with Microsoft. Okay, it's this unknown thing. Like, how do we do this? A lot of things have changed, and there's a lot of misguided information, right, that are coming from this. A lot of misguided stuff, and what we want to do here is really kind of help, clear the air, maybe, right? There's a couple different ways, couple different routes to market. So what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about how chat mode has navigated. Okay, we'll give you some tips on this, and then we're going to talk about what we're doing to help our partners. Like, I'm going to give you some other guidance, right? So there'll be some questions back and forth. So let's go ahead. Let's see. The first question is, let's get into working with Microsoft. So what has been your primary strategy, and what have you learned, from, this initiative?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think any Microsoft partner, whether you've been around for 20 years or whether you're just joining the ecosystem, I think the holy grail is always figuring out, how do we work with Microsoft more directly? How do we collaborate on deals with Microsoft field sales reps? How do we work with CSMs? And, for us, it was really 3 core initiatives that really drove that for us, and which led to great success here. So number one, for us, we really over-indexed on content, on LinkedIn, video content, doing written content. And, that really opens the door on a number of components here. So number one, it just allows you to sort of showcase your prowess. For example, for us in conversational AI or with the Power Platform, we recently did a LinkedIn Live with a partner talking about change management and governance at scale for Power Platform. And, for a lot of things that have popped up on our radar, most of the time, some of these Microsoft employees have said, hey, we've seen your content, or they reach out as a result of that. Secondly, another component of that as well is like we had run a podcast, which we're about to re-kick off, where we are effectively interviewing Microsoft employees, whether they were from the product side, and have a conversation around that. And perhaps there are things that we don't even know about Power Platform because new updates are coming out every day, and we can have these conversations with the product side. Similarly, we also interviewed people from the sales side as well, right? So not only are you able to showcase that knowledge and bring more value to your audience and prospective customers, you now have built an opportunity to form a relationship with some of these folks at Microsoft. So number one, for us, it's over-indexing on content, and that's been a real game changer for us. And I'll actually share some examples later on in the conversation on how that actually came to fruition, like a real example. Number two, in the very same way that you have your sales efforts, whether inbound or outbound, and you're spending a lot of time, money, and effort on those, whether they're inside sales teams, outside sales teams, demand generation, marketing campaigns, you should, to a certain extent, take that same degree of seriousness with how you are reaching out to Microsoft. We had spent a considerable amount of time reaching out to field sales reps and CSMs and a number of different customer-facing profiles on LinkedIn, right? And as a result of that, not everyone responds. They're really busy, as everyone that is in the vendor space or Microsoft is. But for the ones that did respond, that gives you an opportunity to start building your case, crafting that relationship. So it's investing time in being intentional about that in the same way that you try to drive net new sales or try to expand install-based customers. And number three for us is, really working with a consultancy, and I'm gonna throw one to Sherman here. Working with a consultancy that really understands the partner ecosystem, can tell you the ins and outs, can give you ideas about incentive programs that when you can approach, field sales reps and say, hey, I know there's this incentive program with Power Platform, and, we can, perhaps utilize this to hold a workshop, at a lower risk for an install-based customer, right? And that has just been extremely instrumental for us, in addition to the CIEs they've been conducting. So I would say those are my top 3. I know Nikhil has a 4th one, so I'll just pass that to you.
Yeah, I think the 4th one is sort of it's a mixture of everything that Chad was just saying, right? Where there's different ways to get into existing accounts, but being able to reach out to the proper CSM or field sales rep and really encouraging a sense of collaboration, through even some of the stuff that we've done, right? We've been able to share content where we show that we can make good relationships and really commit to that, right? And you give an opportunity, give incentive, right? Just because of the way that we hold ourselves as partners and put the value into, all the stakeholders involved. So, and that gets to people that are on the more business side of different accounts, or more on the architecture side, like having that ability to take a lot of what Chad is saying and show that knowledge that we have it is essentially very key, with existing or new accounts. So wanted to bring that up too.
Yeah, so I wanted to just follow up on that real quick and just make the point that, there's also another opportunity here. If you can get into an account that or have a feeling Microsoft, there may be a Microsoft CSM there. One approach that we've taken in the past is we've built these really great relationships on the product side, for example, with Teams, and we had gotten into a certain account and we just had no idea how to reach out to that CSM, and because we've created a relationship with a product owner where we were sharing a lot of great feedback and how we were using some of these solutions that were not general access yet and providing a lot of value, they had reached out on behalf of us and found who that CSM was. And as a result, we were then able to collaborate on that deal and really expand the opportunity far beyond what we would have been able to do ourselves. So, on both sides, product or customer facing, build those relationships.
But I also like to, one of your responses is, building out a campaign, to account executives, right? And not just, and looking at it just like you're looking at it of bringing in net new customers. And, we get a lot of ISVs that come along and ask me, Sherman, how to, I want a quick way to get in and talk to these reps, and I want them to sell my services. And I come back, well, what have you done, right? Well, how are you doing it? And they're like, well, I don't know. I just don't know what to do. And, I've sent off a couple emails. I haven't got any responses. So I think it's just I'm blocked, right? And, it's just like sales. I mean, sales is a thing where you bring in 100 conversations to get your one or two that are really interested. Then it takes your time. You got to go in there. And then how many of those interested ones turn into actual, then you have 10 interested ones, right, that were willing to take a conversation. And then you're going to close 2 to 3 of them. I mean, it's a funnel game, but you have to take a professional look. Right, sales in professional sales, right? You have to have your campaigns together. We have a nurture campaign that we give all of our partners, right? We have a whole 90 emails on nurture campaigns to help send to their customers for Power Platform, security, Azure, all the stuff, right? But you need to have that same thing for account rep targeting. And it doesn't mean just Microsoft, but if you want to get into any other organization, you need to map it out. You need to map out who they are, right? And then you need to have a nurture campaign that sends them cool stuff. I was almost going to do, excuse my French, cool stuff, right? Hey, did you take a look at this? Or, hey, look at this WinWire. We helped this customer in your vertical market increase their overall consumption by X. Just want to let you know about that. And this is how we did it. Right? Boom, boom. We are raising those antennas. We keep telling everybody, sales is about having more than one one pole in the water. You need to have 10 poles in the water. That's how you create your own luck. You can't create your own luck if you don't actually do anything, right? And you can't, and nothing's magical either. Nothing is like overnight, right? I would say that you've probably been doing this for a while, right? And that's why you have to think about things. It's a process. It's 6 to 12 months of marketing to really build the brand, build your brand. And I love the fact that you're doing so much in the content creation. Maybe if I can just touch on that just for a second. Tell me a little bit more about where you're posting stuff. Like, what are you doing to create so much content that people are seeing?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I also have a follow-up question for you after I answer this one here. So for us, it's like really twofold, or threefold, I guess I would say. So number one, the primary platform is LinkedIn for us. That's our primary platform. From a professional standpoint, if you want to target people, let's say from professional services, or you want to target people in the legal sector, or you want to target people in healthcare, right? Majority times you will find those stakeholders on LinkedIn. It's just a function of getting in front of them. Content, especially live video. I think Sherman's actually live streaming, this right now on LinkedIn. It's a great way to engage customers or prospective customers. Video content, really good at converting. Images with, perhaps an infographic, really great material to get attention, right? And to potentially broach conversations, whether it's vendor or whether it's a net new client. The second thing is start getting on podcasts. So Nikhil has been on several Microsoft-oriented podcasts as of late. And, it's really giving us the opportunity to sort of broaden the scope of our audience and also begin to identify, potential partners that we can work with or potential customers. The last one here is, if you can, and you have the time, which we certainly haven't had recently, to do this activity here, is reach out to these major publications. We had done a webinar with VentureBeat late last year, which was great, and when your customers begin to see you on very established publications like that, it gives you that additional edge. So if you have time, make some relationships with people in that sector as well. So my follow-up question here, Sherman, so you were mentioning, hey, develop these campaigns not only just for customers, but also for the Microsoft customer-facing side, right, the sales side. And I know we were recently in a couple meetings with some Microsoft folks on a really big account, and I didn't know what ATS meant, right? So from the standpoint of targeting, who are you socializing these offers to, and perhaps maybe sort of talk about ATS, CSA, AE, CSMs.
Oh, good question, brother. Now this is part of the thing. So ATS, account technical strategist, right? CSA, cloud solution architect. AE, account executive. So the account executive has a lot of weight. However, what we're finding, the people who have really a lot of the weight are the ones that are interfacing with the customer, like on these projects and on these different things, right? So, CSAs are typically for corporate and below. You'll have CSAs. When you get to enterprise and above, 2,500 seats and above, that's when you get an account technical strategist and a CSA, right? And you're getting these people that are supporting. And that's who you really should be targeting, I think, in general, based on the vertical that they're in, because they could use help. And if you explain to them maybe your value proposition as well as what you could do to actually help them with consumption, holy smokes, that's where you go. So yeah, I mean, I would say that AE is one, because you want to establish that relationship as they're talking to a bunch of different people, but really the ATSs and the CSAs, the support staff that are really in there every day talking to the people who actually are like putting the Legos together, that's who you want to go to, and that's who you want to build out, right? You want to figure out who the manager is, who and contact them and be super just helpful. What can I do to help you? Kind of come with that. The worst thing you can do, okay, is come with, hey, this is what I do. Can you sell my services? That's like the worst thing. And we see that all day long. I see so many ISVs like, well, why aren't we getting any responses? Well, I'll tell you why. Because you're not looking at it from the approach of their perspective. Put yourself in their shoes. They probably get a lot of people saying, sell my this. How about instead of that, you're like, hey, by the way, I know you're getting a lot of stuff. Just want to share with you how we helped one of your customers do X, and this is what it did, and this is the proof positive. What the problem was, what was the solution, what was the impact. You do that succinctly, clearly, repeatable. All of a sudden, you become a potential resource, right? You become a potential resource for that. All right. So recently, you had a chance to pitch a bunch of different account executives at DTA, Digital Transformation Academy. A lot of people, you have to be a certain type of partner, which I'm going to go into in a minute to get access to that. But tell us about that. How did it go? What was the strategy? What was the outcome? What did you learn?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great question. We were super excited about it. And I think it sort of goes back to the first three initiatives that I talked about. And I kind of mentioned that we would get to this example here, right? So number one, it's really about doing content, over-indexing content. The moment that I stepped into that meeting room with about 12 field sales reps in this given market, one of them instantly said, hey, I think I've seen your content before. I think we might be connected on LinkedIn. I saw LinkedIn Live. So immediately that's going to enable you to have a degree of rapport, right? I mean, if you can be in 100 places at the same time, that's what you can do with content, right? So, this is not just theory. We see this play out in practice, right? Number two, investing in those relationships, right? Not just, to Sherman's point, pinging a bunch of field sales reps and saying, hey, can you sell my services? Spending the time to build those relationships, and oftentimes for us, what we found is being flexible, right? We want to be flexible. Sometimes the field sales reps are saying, hey, do you have, POC like this that may exist already, right? And just by that function being flexible sometimes to push those relationships forward, that gives us the opening to really build relationships. And as a result of that particular relationship, that original relationship we invested in, we have the opportunity to respond to a very big RFP in a given market. We ended up closing that project. That project is in play, and now that gave that field sales rep a frame of reference then that he then brought to this audience, right? So we were able to get this meeting with these 12 field sales reps as a result of previous work, as a result of building that relationship. The third thing I would say that really made this meeting work very well is that we had an off-ramp for them. We had a call to action for them, right? It wasn't just, hey, take a look at this solution we put together, right? That's one piece. That's a big piece. The last piece, though, is how do we make this easy for your install-based customers or net new customers, right? So that's working with a partner like Sherman, who set up a number of CIEs. I have one in October, in November, and I made that accessible to those field sales reps, to the CSMs. So now they can onboard their clients, if they're interested in Power Platform or harnessing it, into something that's very actionable. So I would say it went extremely well, and it goes back to those 3 initiatives that we spent our time focusing on.
That's great. Now let's get to that CIE thing. Okay. One thing a lot of people don't know, and I'm going to answer a question here that we have in the chat window in just a second here. But one of the things that people don't know is that part of the account executive compensation, part of the management by objective, the check boxes they need to do, is actually running customer immersion experience events for their customers. So if you have customer immersion experience events and you can produce them for Power Platform, for security, for Azure, wow. Now that differentiates you from the majority, right? The majority of the people you're working with, right? Potentials. Now there was a question here that says, where does MS Consulting Premier fit in with that, or does it? Remember we were talking about who to talk to. So naturally, from the outpoint of when I first saw that, I was like, oh, not so much. But actually, that would be another great avenue, right? Because Premier Consulting is expensive, right? It's no joke. But if you can get in with those folks, yes, what you're trying to do is find the people that have influence in accounts, right? And then who has the most influence, or who has the most ability to even suggest things, right? And then who are they talking to? So it's not always just the account executive, right? It could be these types of things. And once again, this is how I always look at things. If I can help them do something, if I can help them achieve one of their metrics, I become useful. Okay? And I used to always say that, when I was at Microsoft, I'd always go to different program managers, like, hey, how can I help you retire your quota? Or how can I help you hit your numbers, your CBI numbers, right? And, I was looked at as a person who helped, right? And as you've known me for the past 5 years doing a lot of these shows, all I want to do is help, right? Is help. But you have to think about it from different perspectives, okay? Stop thinking of from this linear vertical, I hit the AE, I'm going to show them this. No, it's about thinking and then creating campaigns to help them. Now, your campaigns, especially to manufacturing type of executives, not just Microsoft, look, be careful with those. You should be doing things that help them achieve or learn. You realize how many, emails I would get when I was at Microsoft, probably 220 a day. Okay. I'm looking for people who can help me. Okay. You have account executives that are in the corporate space, right? Well, they manage 60 different accounts, right? Now you go to enterprise, they may manage 3 or 4, right? But they have a team for that. But how about the cloud solution architect that has in a specific vertical, has 60 accounts? You go to them and say, hey, look, I can help you push Power Platform for all 60 if you send those folks to our customer immersion experience event that is vetted by Microsoft, that is presented by Microsoft, and yeah, we have a certified facilitator on it. It just makes sense. And it's about differentiating yourself to the group, right? That's what it was. Okay, so let me ask you this. How about verticals? So I know we're kind of skipping around just a tiny bit, but verticals, how did verticals come into the play when you're working with these executives?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think it goes without saying, it's like if you can have a vertical slant or a vertical positioning for any given solution or solution offering that you have, and you have that subject matter expertise on that area, you're going to go so much farther, with especially these field sales reps or CSMs or customer-facing Microsoft employees. It's just going to add that additional level of confidence when you're coming into these deals here. So I think, it's not only closing deals, but it's also making sure you're leveraging them appropriately. Because we had closed, a fairly large deal, and we made sure to really make it very digestible when we could share that with other field sales reps in the same vertical, and it's much easier to have a conversation. I don't think necessarily this information is incredibly groundbreaking, but I think just as a result of how busy everyone is, sometimes you do these deals, you close them, you win, but you don't leverage that and put that in front of potentially field sales reps that can run the ball for you forward. So that's what I would say.
Okay, yeah. Nikhil, you have any thoughts on that one, or would you agree with Chad?
I agree with Chad on that one. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I have anything else to add.
Verticals and vertical markets and vertical offer. I'm muted somehow.
Yeah.
Okay. It shows you having a vertical offer is probably one of the most important things that actually have, to actually do this. So let's see. Now, use customer. Okay. So one of the questions that was actually asked here is, what are the table stakes, right, to actually do this? Now, this is really important to listen to. Okay. I really want everybody here to take real special consideration for what we're about to say. Okay. So as a Microsoft partner, the first thing that you want to get, and this is going to change. This one secret sauce here that I'm going to tell you. What's going to change is certifications and competencies, and that's going to happen very quickly, starting in January. And I think what's being balloted around is being called a Microsoft preferred partner, not just a Microsoft partner. There's a lot of silver, there's a lot of gold. What you want to do is a couple of things. Okay, in order for you to get into and have the table stakes to get in, number one, a gold certification. Okay, in one of the applications, Power Apps, Biz Apps, not Power Apps, Biz Apps, Apps and Infra, Data and AI, right, and Modern Workplace. Then, secondly, you want to have an advanced specialization. This is the keys to the castle. You have to have an advanced specialization inside that competency. When you have that advanced specialization, what's going to end up happening is now all those leads that you used to get, remember those leads? You used to get those that are turned off now? All of a sudden, turn on. Now you have access to leads. Then the third thing that you need to have is you need to have offers inside of the Microsoft Marketplace. You got to have it. If you don't have offers, and you want to have those offers tied to that particular advanced specialization. So let's say it was a Power Platform specialization. Then you want to have an offer inside of Microsoft that is Power Platform for healthcare. Just for example, Power Platform workshop for healthcare. And another example, right? It can be an offer for something simple, it could be a service. It doesn't have to be IP co-sell. But the table stakes in order to get in front of, and really sell with the account executives is a gold competency, B, a advanced specialization, and C, having an offer in the marketplace that it goes along with that particular advanced specialization. Now, when you have that, now you get added to a special group of partners. Okay, so now Microsoft, in the past few years, we've all fought, and we all know this, we've all fought with account executives in the past, right, over deals. We're like, no, we're in the deal, and the account executive comes in, no, we're in the deal, it's our deal, it's our major account, that's just what it is. Sorry, punt, right? But now, the past 3 years, Microsoft has been slowly nudging the account executives and saying, hey, look, you really need to put a partner attached, 2 years ago, they still were like, yeah, I get what you're saying, but I'm not getting paid on it, so I'm not going to do it. Okay, so July 1 comes around, and now it's mandatory. So the account executives have to attach a partner to every deal. So think of that. If you're an ISV, if you're a managed service provider, okay, the table stakes are, and they'll only get to pick from people who have what? Gold competency, advanced specialization, and an offer in the marketplace. Okay, now that's the pool that they pick from. So there's two ways of kind of getting. One, you're solving problems on one side, but then B, what are you doing? Those are the table stakes to get into the actual arenas, right? And then you can start marketing to those account executives with, hey, I've got A, B, and C. Table stakes are done. By the way, I've got a partner, or I've got a deal that I did with one of your accounts. I was able to solve this problem. This is how we implement it. And by the way, BTW didn't know this, but I increased your consumption by 20%. How can we work to this, right? How can we do that? So that's really, what I wanted to kind of just really socialize, with everybody here is what are some of the real key components to working with clients. So I want to make sure that we can put this. Great Melody has actually just put the advanced specialization link in here. So if you're on the Teams call, click on that advanced specialization thing right there. We're going to put a last poll here. I know we talked about Project Lead Gen in the very beginning. I want to go ahead and we're going to put a poll up here just to see if anybody would like to take advantage of it. We can then reach out to you on that. So Paul has a good question. Where does the Microsoft partner team play? Chase them, but no progress. Okay. Okay. So that's a good question. So the partners or partner development managers, there has been a lot of change. Okay. Change in that, right? A lot of change in that. And what the way to look at it is you want to become a managed partner, right? That's number one. That how it kind of comes into it. When you're a part of the managed partner process, you then get one of their charges is to help you get into the program. So they start introducing you to sellers, but they also what they do is they bring you to what's called DTA, Digital Transformation Academy. So Chad and Nikhil work with another partner that is special, that actually has that they're managed. They got into DTA, and then they're being kind of pushed right to that organization, to potential people to actually work with, right? So that's what they're doing, right? And that's where the partner development managers come into play. However, how do you become a managed partner? Well, that's the question of the century, right? I think there's more turnover, so it's actually getting shrunk even more. But I'll tell you one thing is having those three things that we talked about: advanced specialization, having the partner or the offer in, right, and having goal competency is number one. But then you need to have 100% year-over-year growth in either Azure Apps and Infrastructure or Modern Workplace. That's the table stakes to get considered, right? And then if you're at that position, reach out to me. I know who the partner recruit managers are over at Microsoft. Happy to help. I'm extremely happy to help, get you in touch with them, get an interview, get put onto that base. But that's kind of how it all comes together, okay? Two different fields completely, okay? How PDMs help, that's kind of how it is, but that is. So, okay, I want to put in here how to connect with our guest speakers. Want to make sure everybody has this ability to talk to them. Chad, Oda, Nikhil, Vimal, both head of consulting, head of operations. They're their emails, they're the LinkedIns. I will publicly endorse this group publicly to say, they're just super easy to work with, really like them, just really impactful, and they bring it. And that's who you really want. You bring in a partner, you want them to bring it, and there really is no co-opetition in this scenario. So please reach out to them. I really would like that on there. So. I want to say, Chad, Nikhil, thank you so very much for today. I want to just kind of open up last thoughts for you. Last thoughts or contact or whatever. Give us the last thoughts here so the group can understand that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. First and foremost, appreciate the opportunity here, Sherman. It's been a really great experience just working with you and team here. And secondly, thank you all for joining. I actually see a lot of people in the audience that we're very well acquainted with. So, excited to, have conversations, at a later date. And, as far as, how you can work with us, or if you'd like to collaborate with us on content, we are open across the board. We would love to work with you, from a partner perspective. By some chance, if you are a customer interested in Power Platform, always happy to just get on a call and just educate and see what we can see there. So, don't hesitate to reach out. We're always open for a conversation. And if you're actually out here in the Pacific Northwest, on the east side, let's grab some coffee sometime.
Awesome. Nikhil?
Likewise as well. Thanks so much, Sherman, and to the whole Crancer group and everyone who's attended today. I think, hopefully everyone walked away with some amazing value about, the background of being a Microsoft partner and how it can all come together and how you can find a way in. And keep an eye out for more of Sherman's awesome sessions. He really knows how to get an audience hyped up about, a lot of different types of topics here on LinkedIn and with these Voice of the Microsoft Partner programs. So, yeah. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Now, just for the audience, please go back to LinkedIn and join our Crancer group page. And then I can get the LinkedIn Live off of my personal account, and we can get into the Crancer group when we get enough people there. You can also subscribe to us, YouTube, right? Or come to our, if you need to contact me, you just come to crancer.us and fill out a form, no problem. Thanks again. And next month, same bat time, same bat last Friday of the month. We always do it, 11 to 12. We're kind of interviewing a couple different, guest speakers here. I think we might be talking about how partners are getting hacked. I think we're going to do some security stuff. Maybe bring in a panel. 'Cause I got some pretty crazy stories with partners getting hacked on their Azure account and getting Bitcoin mined, right, to the tune of $20,000. It's crazy. Also, sorry for we had a couple extra emails this month, and maybe you got some duplicates. Really apologize. We're just trying to get it out. So just get it out to people. Register, come here, or view it on LinkedIn. Doesn't matter. Anyways, thanks again for coming today. We're landing this plane. Any last questions? I'm going to give it one more minute. Just any last questions? We got a couple more minutes here. We'll give it a second. All right. Looks like we're good to go. Everyone, have a great, safe weekend. We'll see you next month. Thanks again. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.